So after last episode of My Hero Academia, we knew All For One was about to attempt and most likely succeed at a prison break. And a prison break for this man who is such a lunatic. I mean, you literally almost crushed Hero Society with Shigaraki, and with him maybe being down for the count, Hero Society and everyone else and their mother would assume that there would at least be a break before the next Chaos Wave. And instead, our boy says, hold my beer, and says, even if someone like All Might end up defeating me, I'm always going to have a plan B, and that plan B is going to have 6 to 7 prison breaks, and a majority of them are going to be successful. The dude is an absolute lunatic and is doing an amazing job. Now, I am incredibly sick, so if my voice or enthusiasm might sound a little weaker, do forgive me, but I'm getting through the videos no matter what. I do have a full live reaction available to today's episode on my Patreon if you're interested in seeing that, but we gotta talk about this one because I would argue this is peak My Hero Academia. We've been in peak My Hero Academia this entire season, but I think the whole concept of just what is happening to general people is something that is incredible to follow, because when you look at the general public opinion, right? All Might retiring and being forced to step down is probably one of the biggest blows you can do because he's the #1 hero. He's the one who sparks all of the confidence. And to have someone like Endeavor who didn't have that confidence, but then slowly over the course of the show was starting to gain it and people were saying, oh, maybe he could be #1. And then to have the truth about his family and then to see the utter defeat. And then within 24 hours, have all of these prisons explode and have the numerous horrible people escape and be on the loose. Hero Society is completely screwed because general civilians have no faith. It would be different had the prison breaks not happened. There would still be those swarms of people demanding answers at the hospital. But at the same time, it wouldn't be to the same degree where you assume, honestly, having any public praise for heroes is probably going to get you more pushback than criticizing heroes right now. The fact that it just feels like it's a mob wanting answers. And you can understand the fear and what that does to people. I mean, I think it was either in the last video or the previous video. At this point, it feels like Shigaraki or any of these characters could offer a general option of a way out, right? Saying, hey, if you turn over the heroes or you rise up against the heroes, we will protect you, or at the very least don't support them. And honestly, a lot of people would probably take that offer. More so now that 6 of the prison breaks were a damn success. And honestly, when you think about All Might's last victory prior to him having to step down, right? It's going to make it look absolutely pointless from the general public's point of view. Because All For One and One For All, just all of these abilities, right? And these characters, and the fact that for All Might, his one last hurrah, at the very least, kept the world safe. To have him be able to just wait out and bide his time, it's not like he wanted to lose to All Might. In the perfect world, he wanted to defeat All Might. But the fact that this is a man who can have a plan B that's going to be just as effective, maybe it'll take a bit longer, but if you throw him in the maximum security prison, similar to when Joker breaks out of Arkham Asylum, he'll do it when he's good and ready. And when he does it, he's not just going to go alone, he's going to take every lunatic in that prison with him. And the fact that he didn't go to just one, but every prison imaginable, it's going to be absolute hell for these heroes. And seeing the aftermath of, Deku is not looking good at all. He's in a full body cast and he's not waking up. Todoroki is having a family crisis here because he realizes that he has to be the one to stop his brother, and how, honestly, had he not had Deku and friends around him, he could have been on a very similar path as to what his brother ended up doing. Like, the fact that his flames are that strong because of pure hatred, he recognizes that easily would have been him, and honestly, he was on a path similar to that. Eraserhead's fate's still up in the air. I mean, I don't think his quirk's gone, but I would be shocked if maybe his quirk is even half as good as it once was, but I guess only time will tell. But just everything about the heroes and where they're currently at is just, it's a nightmare, right? It's peak My Hero because you get to see a side of superhero stories that you don't see all that often. And when it does, it's usually the biggest moment and the most fan favorite talked about moment in a show. And I mean, this entire episode reminded me of Arkham Asylum. Like, if you know of Batman lore and stuff, Arkham Asylum is where you put the big bads away. And anytime prison breaks happen in that prison, it's just always absolute chaos. And I absolutely love what My Hero is doing right now because it makes it feel completely helpless. But I think one of the best ways a writer, an author, can go about directing their story is to put characters at their arguably lowest, so that when they eventually do triumph and they succeed, it makes the victory feel all that more earned. Really, I think we still haven't even scratched the surface of what general society is going to look like in an episode or two. I'm glad to see characters like Spinner basically call it out. You know, all things considered, a lot of these characters are just swept into bad decisions or poor decisions because of either thinking they're doing the right thing or just they were hanging out in the wrong crowd. In the case of Twice, he was hanging out with the wrong crowd. In the case of Spinner, he was looking at it as Stain and everyone like, you know, he thought he was truly doing the right thing, and now it seems like he's recognizing he's with an absolute lunatic and scumbag. My Hero is definitely taking influence from some of, like, I think the best ideas superhero stories have used before, but doing it in its own way. And I think watching this episode and just seeing the creativity of how the prison break occurred, I mean, the fact of the matter was you have a really solid defense system unless you have an EMP blast for days. And the fact that these like Star Wars looking bots were kind of like standing up and firing, and then just how quickly it could all just completely crumble. Just, it's insane to see. But I think honestly my favorite part of this episode, which it only lasted for maybe less than a minute, give or take, is it's a moment just prior to like them realizing that a prison break's attempting to be happening there. And it's when you have just a couple of guards basically talking about general opinion and what these people are. Like the one dude saying like, we should be killing these people. Like the only reason that they're currently still alive is because they resemble humans. But everything they've done, what is happening with their abilities and stuff, they are anything but human. And the fact that they have to tiptoe around it because they're being monitored, you don't want to, you know, accidentally say the wrong thing and not only get yourself fired, but maybe lose public support, because all things considered, you know, just simply killing the bad guys isn't something that's accepted, similar to most modern countries, right? But it's after seeing what we've seen and knowing what was going to happen in the episode, it was hard not to side with our dude being like, people like that don't deserve to live, especially knowing what was about to happen in this episode. And honestly, I feel like just general society, not even just hero society, it's going to be more divided than ever, and I don't see how you repair it until the show's over. Because here's the thing, you're going to have people who are still going to say we need heroes, even if they may have lost, they are our only chance of survival. You're going to have the other half say they can't be trusted and we should just take matters into our own hands. And more importantly, there's going to be people saying, what if they offer us a way out? Why don't we just side with the villains if they're going to be the only ones to keep us safe and have a chance at living, right? It is absolute hell right now. It is a complete lunatic den, and honestly, who knows what's going to happen next? It just doesn't feel good. And the fact that when Deku does wake up, or any of these characters wake up, the fact that all you can see on the news is multiple prison breaks, and the fact that in less than 24 hours after everything they went through, they were able to regroup, and for our boy to just have so many bodies that he can use at his disposal, it's hell, man. But to see Shiggy just trying to break free of that hole but just being captured, I mean, you feel bad in ways, and you can understand why Deku, of all characters, when he saw what he did in, I think it was either the prior episode or the one before that, he just thought like Shigaraki wanted to be saved because he can see how trapped this man is making his life. But it'll be interesting. I think Shiggy's gonna have his own wake-up call and is going to try to fight for freedom, and it will be interesting to see what it's gonna look like, because it's not looking good, to say the least. But of course, I'll pass the torch over to you. What did you think of the prison break and everything that happened in this episode, and what do you hope to see with the future of this season? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Like I mentioned, there is a full live reaction available on the Patreon, and while you're there, you can also get yourself a video shout out like a few we're about to get here. So we got X-Trend, Dusk Walker, and William. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.